This thing is awesome. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Pilot Patriot channel. Now, just a few days ago, we had a hurricane sweep up the East Coast. And of course, while preparing for that, I was getting the generator out, making sure it was running well, making sure I had all my fuel cans filled up and everything like that. And I thought now, before I put all this stuff away, would be a great time to let y'all know what I'm using and maybe give you guys some ideas of how to prepare for storms in the future. If you like these kind of videos, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate that. Now, the generator we have here is the WEN 11,000 watt dual fuel generator. This thing is awesome. That dual fuel means that it can run off gasoline or propane, and there are a lot of huge benefits to that. Of course, you guys know I like to have lots of options, and so something like this is just perfect for me. You guys know I like to keep some fuel stored for emergency purposes. I have done a whole video on how to store gasoline and treat it so it lasts a long time. If you haven't seen that, I'll put that link up here at the top of the screen. But one thing you may not know is that propane, as long as it's stored properly, does not have a shelf life. It does not break down and go bad the way gasoline does, which makes it a great fuel source for something like an emergency generator, something that you may only use once or twice a year. It's nice to have a fuel source that you can store indefinitely. Now, the reason I chose WEN generators is because I think you get a lot for your money. Like I said, this is an 11,000 watt generator with the dual fuel feature and a lot of other great features that you may not see from other brands, but you get all that for a much lower price than you see from some of those bigger name brands. This WEN 11,000 watt dual fuel generator, you can get from around $800 to $900 depending on what promotions they have going on. And you just cannot beat that value. Now let's take a look at the generator. I'll go over a few of the features and then we'll crank this bad boy up and show you how it works. All right, now as you can see here, guys, you have your fuel selection switch. That's where you're going to select whether you're running it off of gas or propane. We'll demonstrate that here in a minute. This is an electric start generator with a 12-volt battery, so that's nice and easy for cranking it up. Of course, it also has a pull start just in case that battery were to go dead. It's also going to have a data meter here that can show you the voltage, how much power you're using, and things like that. That's a nice feature there. Moving on down, it does have a 12-volt DC cigarette lighter type outlet there, so you can plug in phone chargers and any DC electronics that you have. You are going to have 420-volt outlets on there, so you can plug in a bunch of different things. You also see that each outlet does have a breaker. Now moving on down, it does have a 120-volt 30-amp twist lock plug. That's what most of you guys are going to use for plugging into like an RV or plugging it into your house. And then because this thing is putting out so much power, you're also going to have a 120 and 240-volt 50-amp plug. And that's also going to be for plugging it in to your house to run some of your major appliances and potentially even run your entire house off of this generator. Now just give you guys a little walk around the generator here. There's going to be your pull start, your fuel shut off there, and then your choke lever. Your exhaust over here on this side. You can see, guys, it does come with the wheel and handle kit. That's really nice because this thing is heavy, so it's nice to have that kit to run around. It does seem to be pretty quality wheels and handles there. Up here on top, you do have your fuel gauge. You can see this is a 6.6 gallon tank. This generator advertises that it can run for up to 8.5 hours on half power. Now, the actual power that you're going to be getting here, guys, is 11,000 starting watts and 8,300 running watts on gasoline. And then when you switch over to propane, you're going to get 9,500 starting watts and 7,500 running watts. All right, guys, now let's crank this thing up. I did just start this the other day, so I'm expecting it to crank right up. That is on the gasoline setting there, guys. And I know you probably can't tell from the video, but this thing actually is pretty quiet as far as large generators go. It's not making that much noise, especially being outside of your house. I don't think this thing's gonna bother you too much. Now let's get in here and crank it up with the propane. It does come with this hose to connect the propane tank. We're just going to be using a standard 15-pound propane tank, but obviously if you hook this thing up to some larger propane tanks, you're going to get a lot longer runtime out of it. It is fairly simple here. It just has a connection here on the bottom that you screw in. Then it has your regular propane connection here that you're just going to plug in there and twist it on. Now once we have it hooked up to the propane tank, we're just going to turn that propane on. And then we're going to switch our fuel selector switch here over to propane. And then let's see how she does. All right, no issues there. The little revving up there at the beginning is because I did have the choke on. As soon as you turn that choke on, it evens right out. But yeah, that's actually the first time I've run it off the propane, and it was very simple, no more complicated than running it off of gasoline other than having to hook up the propane tank. I think that went pretty well. Let's turn this propane off here. All right, now I really love this thing, guys. I love the dual fuel feature. It's got plenty of power, plenty enough power to run my essentials, my water pump, my refrigerator, freezer, pretty much all the lights in my house, phone chargers, of course, and plenty of other small appliances. Depending on your energy needs, you could possibly even power your entire house with this thing. I will put a link to this thing in the description below if you want to get one for yourself. Now, I also want to say this is not my first WEN generator. WEN also makes a really nice 2,000 watt inverter generator. This thing is just amazing. I know what you guys are thinking. The small Honda generators seem to kind of rule the roost, but those things are going to cost you $1,000, and I think this thing is probably better than the Honda, honestly. And you can pick this up for about 400 bucks. It is incredibly quiet. It only weighs 40 pounds, so it's pretty easy to move around. And I think with both of these generators here, you got a pretty complete package. Can pretty much take care of any of your emergency energy needs as well as your recreational needs. That's it for the WEN 11,000 watt dual fuel generator, guys. They do also make this in a 4,700 watt version. That's going to save you a little bit of money on that. But at these prices, guys, you really can't beat it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. If you haven't done it yet, guys, please hit that subscribe button down below, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate that. If you want to help support the channel, we are going to have links to all these things in the description below. You can also visit Pilot Patriot Apparel or join us on Patreon. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe, and stay prepared.